hordes of residents of Nalarigo, Gambaga and Walewale in the northeast region invaded various grounds on this Independence Day celebration in their part of the country with placards, of course, wearing red bands in protest against the government over what they call its government's meddling in the Boko chieftaincy disputes. The overlord of the traditional area and president of the Regional House of Chiefs and some others also refused to grace the event as part of that protest. This was the event that characterized the celebrations in the Chereponi district due to some insecurity situations happening there. There's more in this report by our correspondent, Ilyasu Tanko.
A nation divided cannot stand. A people so divided cannot also stand. We therefore need to be conscious of our actions and inactions that constitute a serious threat to the peace we are enjoying. These threats are mainly related to either land or chieftains. I therefore want to use this opportunity to call on all of us to live in peace and in unity. It behoves all to preserve and protect the peace that we are enjoying. We may have differences in opinion on matters of mutual interest, but these differences should not and must not lead to conflicts.
The minister was speaking after inspecting the parade, which was made up of largely students and security personnel in the area. Mr. Zakaria also offered his commendation to the security agencies for securing the chiefs and people of the region.
I want to give all the assurance that the region is very peaceful and shall continue to be. Thanks to the security agencies for securing the keys of the Northeast region. I want to urge all to go about your legitimate daily duties without let or hindrance. At the end of the day, we shall come out of this situation better, stronger, and people united for a better future.
This year's event, however, was celebrated differently in the region as some residents invaded the venues of the parade in Nalerigu, Gambaga and Walewale to stage protests against the government. The king of Mamprogo and his elders were also not in attendance. The protesting residents also took part in the march as they brandished their placards with several inscriptions calling on the president and his government to stop meddling in the Boko skin dispute. The protest is in connection with the government's rejection of the new Boko Naba, Nasheriga Sidu Abari, and the subsequent attempt to arrest the Mamprogo king for the enslavement. In Nalerigu, the protest was led by the Nalerigu Youth Association. The group spokesman, Mahama Musa, spoke to Joy News.
We, however, decided to use this opportunity to register our displeasure with the attitude of the president toward the people of Mamprogo. We are not going to leave any stone unturned to make sure that the Boko Naba is sent home and live with his people. Boko Naba, Sherga, Abari, Sebi. He is the one that is recognized by the traditional authority of Mamprogo. Boko is for Mamprogo. Boko is not of Mamprogo. The Nayiri is a law-abiding citizen. He believes in his authority and he does what is expected of him. He doesn't go into any place. Mama, the new order for the arrest of the Chief. The new order for the arrest of the Chief. What notice is that? We are allowed for you. If you think that you want to behave with us, we will not buy it. We will agree.
Ilyasu Tanko, reporting for Joy News.
All right, let's go back to the northeast region. Ilyasu Tanko, our northeast correspondent, is joining us back. Ilyasu, what's the latest in the area where you are? Ilyasu, we're unable to hear you, but I was just talking about the security situation there. Of course, we've seen some of these videos that you sent to us, the demand from residents there on how the conflict happening in their place could be resolved. It's beginning to mark the independence anniversary as well. But tell us, what's the mood right now and how are the authorities dealing with the issue?
Well, the residents think that the president and his government are disregarding the article, the provisions in the Constitution, Article 270 and 277, they believe that the Mamprogo overlord owns the Mamprogo traditional area, and he has the right to enskin any chief to any part of this particular traditional area. And they believe that it was within the rights of the Mamprogo overlord to enskin a chief for the Boko traditional area. And so the subsequent rejection of government to that particular enskinment by the Mamprogo overlord is what has triggered this particular protest. And like you saw in the videos, this is what happened in the town of Nalergo, Gambaga, and Wale. The residents invaded the parade grounds, and as you see them wielding placards and wearing red banners. And so they also took part in the march, and after that they spoke to the media, expressed their concerns, and they are calling for the president and his government to stop meddling in the Boko chieftaincy. In the Cherpone district, as you know, over the weekend there was some renewal of communal violence in that particular area. And so authorities decided not to go ahead with this particular celebration. And so in the Cherpone district, this event did not come off. But the other part of the area, like the Bumpurgu Nakpanduri district, as well as the Mamprogu Muaduri district, the event went on successfully without any event.
And have we heard from, for instance, the regional Security Council on what they're doing to deal with the issues?
As you heard the regional minister giving that strong assurance that despite the difficult security situation, his outfit and other stakeholders were working seriously to ensure that they restore calm. And as yesterday, for instance, there was also another shooting around the North Punja and the West Mamprosi area there. So the regional minister saying they are well aware of the difficult nature of the security situation in the region, and he's working with the stakeholders to ensure that there's calm in the region.
And how about the traditional rulers as well? Because as you indicated, some of them boycotted that event as a silent protest to what's happening in the Northeast region. Have they put out any statement?
Well, the initial plan was for a total boycott, but it took the overlord himself to come out to tell the youth. We had a coalition of chiefs and youth groups who had issued the statement calling for a total boycott of this particular event. And the overlord came out to say this is a national event, this is a state event, it has nothing to do with this particular government, so let's participate. But he gave his support to the fact that people could go there and wield placards just so to express their discontent with whatever is happening in the area. So at the moment, because of the situation in Boko, the authorities, the chiefs, I must say, are very angry with the government now. But I can tell you that from the information that we have gathered from the overlord, his doors are open to collaborate with the Regional Security Council to ensure that they restore calm in the Northeast region. Okay
then, Eliasu, thank you. And of course, we'll be getting back for some more updates. Meanwhile, talking about the Ghana at 66 celebrations, and in Nkrumah's party, the PNC is asking President Akufo-Addo and his government to deal with the pockets of violence happening up north, plus resolve the economic challenges facing this country as one of the surest ways of building back better. Let me bring in now Shak Awudu, who speaks for the PNC. Thank you so much for your time here on the poll. So let's start off, of course, from the background of what's happening in the Northeast region, for instance. It feeds into your concerns about what you describe as general insecurity in the country, and you feel that this is associated with the economic hardship in the country. So where do we start off from in terms of finding the solutions?
Well, Bless, I think that the independence of Ghana was conceived by Nkrumah and his compatriots, who sacrificed and toiled at the peril of their lives to ensure that Ghana broke the yoke of colonialism. Indeed, when the fight and the struggle for independence was ongoing, It was just not about the capacity for Ghana to take itself out of the control of the Western imperialists. It was also envisaged that Ghana and Africa, for that matter, we were capable, as Nkrumah said, of managing our own affairs. And this meant that we had the capacity, just like the Western colonial masters, to be able to take decisions in the best interest of the people of Ghana and Africa, for that matter. And that also included the ability to take decisions that would improve upon the lot of the people of Ghana. Now, 66 years down the line, the question everybody is asking is this the Ghana envisaged by our forebears? Indeed, this cannot be the Ghana envisaged by our forebears. Because the kind of foundation that had been laid at independence in terms of social amenities, in terms of physical infrastructure, in terms of the social cohesion that we needed as a people, that is incomparable to what we have today. Like we just singled out, we are all aware of the disturbances in the Northeast region. It is partly as a result of the economic quagmire that we find ourselves in, that out of disappointment and out of despondency, people decide, as it were, or people are pushed by their circumstances and the peculiar situations surrounding them to engage in some of these untoward issues that amount to a breach of the security and the peace within the Northeast region. And so we think that if the government of the day were able to do things in such a manner that people would be assured of a certain modicum of living, people were assured of being able to find a place to lay their heads. People were assured of being able to find 3 square meals a day. People were assured of all of those basic necessities of life. It would amount to cutting down on the propensity for them to engage in some of these, excuse my language, some of these conflicts, which in my opinion amount to nothing but as a result of the living conditions that the people find themselves in.
But then as a political party, the president is giving his word, is giving assurances that what we need now is unity. He's beginning to act on his words, isn't it?
Well, I am not sure that Ghana is divided. I am not sure that we have a divided Ghana. Ghana is as united as it has always been. But the point is, once we have chosen for ourselves a system of government that allows for us to go to the polls every 4 years and entrust the destiny of this country into the hands of a political party which forms government, into the hands of a president who constitutes his government by making various appointments with a covenant to improve upon the lot of the people. And within that 4 years, if we do not see any improvement within that 4 years, if we rather see a certain level of retrogression within that 4 years, we rather see that the president and his government has not been able to deliver on the promises that they by themselves made to the people of Ghana, then the issue confronting us should not be that of disunity. The issue should be that of a call for us to be honest enough to accept the responsibilities placed on us and to fashion out ways by which we'll be able to meet the aspirations and the dreams of the people of Ghana who queued under the scorching sun to vote for people to become president, who went ahead to appoint ministers, who went ahead to do various kinds of appointments with the singular hope of improving upon the living conditions of the Ghana. And so when the president talks about the calls for unity, of course, unity is important. But at this material moment, I am not sure that it is disunity or it is division within the Ghanaian society that is the cause of the deplorable living conditions that we find ourselves in as a people.
Okay, now going forward for the PNC, you have some recommendations for the government to consider. What are these key considerations they need to make at this moment?
Well, blessed, this thing has been said over and over again. You can't keep doing things the same way and expect to get different results. If we agree that we find ourselves in a very tight corner, to the extent that we have been downgraded economically and financially, to the extent that the financial space, the physical space for Ghana as an economy has been conscripted, and people are saying that let us look at the alternatives available. What steps can we take to improve upon the physical space? What can we do? Because there are two sides to every economy. You have the revenue side and you have the expenditure side. And so if as a country, we are unable to raise the kind of revenue that can meet the expenditure that we run as a country, what can we do? It means that we have to read the revenue aspect and rather tackle the expenditure aspect, because you choose what kind of expenditure you can engage in as a country or otherwise. So people are saying that why would our president not take steps to ensure that we cut down on government expenditure? And one of the ways by which we could cut down on government expenditure is by way of the wage bill that we have coming from the size of government, whether from the Flagstaff House, whether in terms of ministries and ministers, whether in terms of corporations and institutions and government agencies and all of that. Our president is not listening. When the president does not listen, but rather thinks that people who have invested their life savings in government bonds should rather voluntarily, out of will, come and say that we want to forfeit those bonds in deferment so that we can allow for government to organize itself before they can pay us the dividends. That will be problematic. So we think that the president and his government ought to listen. Let them take practical and pragmatic steps that would ensure that they are able to cut down on the size of government, which undoubtedly will impact the expenditure on maintaining the government officials that we have. Beyond that, we are at the doorsteps of the IMF again. Bless, I am not an economist, but I know for sure that this is going to be about the 17th time that Ghana is going to the IMF. It has been the same IMF that has advised us over and over again. And so when we enter the ditch, who is partly to blame for our inability to navigate ourselves out of that?
Well, just on that point, the president says he's well aware of that. We were doing so well. We've gone down. He has promised to fix the problem. And he's asking that you come on board. As a political party, are you on board?
Well, we have always been on board. We have always been on board as a political party because we are a party which believes that it is not only upon occupying the seat of government that you can contribute to nation building. That is why political parties promulgate what we call manifestos. So if we were to go through the manifestos of the PNC over the years, you would see the kind of brilliant policy positions that the PNC has always come out with. And some of these have found their way into the national life of the people of Ghana. And so the PNC has been a mainstay of Ghana's governance architecture since 1992, when we were formed as a political party. And this time cannot be different. But we are saying that the president should be a listening president. The president should listen to the many calls by the good people of Ghana for him to take a critical look at the government expenditure, especially the frivolous expenditure, which adds nothing as far as growing this economy is concerned.
All right. Ishaka, thank you. He speaks for the PNC there, of course, sharing their concerns about Ghana at 66.